A man won't announce when he chooses you, but everything in him will start to move like he did. You won't hear a drum roll. You won't see it written in the sky. And he's sure as hell not going to text you, "Hey, just so you know, I emotionally imprinted on you today." But make no mistake, my friends, when a man truly chooses you, his entire energy shifts, his rhythm changes. He starts showing up differently, not louder, but more anchored, more present, and most of the time, he doesn't even realize he's doing it. Now, before we dive in, do me one favor. If this message already feels like it's pulling on something true inside you, press that like button, hit subscribe, and know this: I don't make this content for clicks. I make it for the woman who's tired of guessing, tired of overthinking, and ready to attract connection that's real. I'm putting my whole heart into this. And if it resonates, your support means the world. Now, hey ladies, imagine this. You're standing in a quiet room, nothing flashy, just stillness. There's a locked door in front of you. You've been knocking, you've been patient, you've been showing up, and then one day, click. The lock turns, not loudly, no grand gesture, but something inside finally opens. That's what it feels like when a man truly chooses you. Not because you banged on the door harder, but because your presence matched the key he didn't even know he needed. Let me be clear, it's not when he sleeps with you. It's not when he introduces you to his friends. It's not when he says, "I love you," with candles on the table. A man can do all of that and still keep one foot out the door emotionally. Harsh truth, I know, but hear me out. Men don't choose in the spotlight. They choose in the shadows, in the quiet, in the moments that seem unremarkable on the outside, but shift everything underneath the surface. It happens when he's not his best, when life humbles him, when something falls apart, when his confidence dips and the world feels too loud, and in that vulnerable crack, in that breath between who he pretends to be and who he really is, he watches you. Not with words, with awareness. How do you respond when he's not impressive, when he's not performing, when the mask slips and the man underneath shows up messy and unsure? That's the moment, my friends. That's the imprint. And if your energy says you don't need to be perfect to be loved here, something shifts inside him. You become a safe place in a world that's been demanding perfection from him since he was a boy. See, anyone can love the highlight reel, but the woman who becomes unforgettable, she holds space for the behind the scenes. And if no one's ever told you this before, let me be the first. You don't have to perform to be chosen. You don't have to be chill or perfect or read his mind. You just have to know who you are and stay rooted when the air gets thin. So before we dive into the exact moment men truly choose, I want you to write this in the comments. I don't chase, I anchor. Say it out loud. Whisper it if you have to. Let your soul catch it. I don't chase, I anchor. That's who you are. That's the energy that magnetizes real love. And stay with me, because what we're about to uncover next, it's not just relationship advice, it's soul truth. Let's go. Number one, when he feels safe in your silence. He doesn't need you to chase the silence. He needs to know you won't disappear inside it. There's a moment in every connection, my friends, where the energy shifts. Things were flowing, messages flying back and forth, laughter over the phone, late night talks that felt electric, and then suddenly it slows. He stops texting as much, gets quiet, a little distant. You feel the drop. The space between grows, and your mind starts spinning. Did I say something wrong? Is he losing interest? Should I reach out again? Now here's the truth no one tells you. When a man pulls back, it's not always because he's losing interest. Sometimes he's not checking out, he's checking in with himself. Life hits. His thoughts are noisy. He's carrying pressure he hasn't put words to yet. And in that moment, he's not looking for answers, he's looking for atmosphere. Imagine him like a tuning fork, vibrating with noise the world handed him. And now he's sitting still, trying to find a pitch that feels like truth again. You don't need to be the loudest one in the room. You just need to hold that still frequency, the one that says, take your time, I'm good. You don't have to be on to be loved here. This isn't about playing it cool. It's not about detaching, punishing, or pretending you don't care. This is about emotional intelligence, knowing that presence doesn't always speak, it feels. And when you can sit in the unknown without scrambling for control, That's when he notices. That's when he says, she doesn't panic when I'm quiet. She trusts the space between us. Because here's the deal. Most women rush to fill silence with noise, questions, reassurance, strategy. But when you do that, what you're really saying is, I'm afraid this pause means I'm being left. But the woman who holds the space with confidence, her silence doesn't feel cold. It feels like trust. You become his breath of fresh air, not because you fix his silence, but because you don't fear it. And I get it. Your mind wants certainty. You might be wondering, if I don't reach out, will he forget me? What if he's pulling away for good? But pause with me here. You're not disappearing. You're not shrinking. You're just refusing to beg for clarity in a moment that isn't about you. You're standing still with grace. And that grace, it speaks louder than words. There's an ancient kind of power in a woman who can sit with her own discomfort without projecting it onto someone else. And when a man feels that kind of strength, he doesn't feel abandoned. He feels safe. Carl Jung once said, in all chaos there is a cosmos, in all disorder a secret order. And sometimes that space he's gone into, that quiet chaos, that's where he's rearranging things internally. That's where the mask comes off, and the man starts asking himself, do I feel seen? Do I feel free? And if in that stillness your energy remains steady, not needy, not defensive, not performative, he notices, deep in his nervous system. He may not say it, but he feels it. She's not chasing me. She's anchoring me. And that, my friends, is unforgettable. Stay grounded, stay rooted. Don't let the silence convince you that love is slipping away. Sometimes it's the very space a man needs to realize where home actually feels like. Now stay with me, because next, we're stepping into the moment where the mask finally drops. And he doesn't need your rescue. He just needs your presence. Let's keep going. Number 2, when he drops the mask and you don't flinch. Men fall hardest when they're seen at their worst and still feel worthy. It's easy to love someone when they're shining, when they're cracking jokes, making plans, walking tall with confidence. But the real moment, the moment that leaves a mark on a man's soul, it happens when the shine fades, when life humbles him, when the strong exterior chips and he quietly, almost accidentally, lets you see the man beneath the mask. Maybe he doesn't say much. Maybe it's just a look, a pause, a moment where his voice breaks or he stares a little too long at the floor before admitting, I don't have it all figured out. And in that split second, he watches you, not for validation, but for something deeper. Will you flinch? Will you lose respect? Will your energy shift because he just stopped performing? This is the test he doesn't know he's giving. And most women, they miss it. They either try to fix it, you're amazing, don't be hard on yourself, or they shrink back, uncomfortable in the discomfort, unsure of what to do. But the one who stays still, who holds that space with no rush, no noise, no judgment, she becomes unforgettable. And you see, every man is carrying something, a failure that shaped him, a fear he never talks about, shame that still lingers like smoke in a closed room. And when he finally lets a piece of that out, what he's really asking is, can I be seen here and still be enough? If your presence says yes without words, if you don't blink, don't fix, don't fill the silence with noise, you become the woman who didn't just see his highlight reel, you became the mirror he didn't know he needed. That's the imprint moment, the place where admiration becomes attachment. And coming up next, we're stepping into something most overlook, the difference between holding space and holding control, and why the former is magnetic and the latter is why most connections fall apart before they even begin. Stay with me. Number 3, when you hold space, not control. The woman he chooses isn't the loudest. She's the one who doesn't need to rearrange the moment to feel powerful. There's something magnetic about a woman who doesn't reach for control when things get uncertain. She doesn't interrogate, doesn't poke, doesn't push. She simply holds space, not because she doesn't care, but because she understands that love isn't something you drag out of a man. It's something you invite. And let's be real, my friends, most people don't hold space. They manage it, manipulate it, fill it. They treat emotional connection like a game of chess. Calculated moves, testing reactions, saying just enough to protect their pride. But the woman who knows her worth, she's not playing chess. She's not playing at all. She's just being, and that being is powerful. Imagine a storm, wind, noise, pressure building, everything in motion, and right in the middle, there's a patch of stillness, a calm eye in the chaos. That's what you become when you hold space for a man, not with your words, but with your energy. He doesn't always say it, he might not even understand it, but when your presence isn't trying to fix or force anything, he feels something he doesn't feel often in this world. Freedom. Freedom to feel. Freedom to be confused. Freedom to not have all the answers and still be held with respect. And that's the difference between a safe place and a strategy. Strategy says, if I do this, he'll feel that. Safe energy says, you're allowed to be exactly where you are, and I don't need to rewrite the moment to feel secure in it. And when you become that space, that unbothered, anchored, intuitive presence, he stops bracing himself. He relaxes. His nervous system starts associating you with ease, not expectation. That's what makes you unforgettable. Not because you said the perfect thing, but because you didn't need to. And where we're headed next, my friends, is even more intimate, because it's one thing to be calm in the moment. But when a man starts to break, and you don't lose respect, that's when he truly begins to trust you with his truth. Let's keep going. Number 4, when he can break and still be respected. Men don't need someone to save them. They need someone who won't lose respect when they stumble. There comes a moment, and it doesn't come with warning. It's raw, unfiltered, and very human. A man, strong in the eyes of everyone else, hits a wall. He questions himself. He messes up. He says the wrong thing. Maybe he pulls away. Maybe he gets short with you. Maybe he fails at something he told you he had under control. And in that moment, he's not looking for a lecture or a savior. He's watching. Will you see him as less, or will you stay steady while he rebuilds? Because here's the quiet truth, my friends. Most men live their whole lives performing, strong, capable, unshaken. But that strength, it's a show. And the moment the show stops, when the curtain drops and the man underneath is exposed, that's when your response becomes everything. You don't have to clap, you don't have to carry him, but when you don't flinch, when you don't minimize his experience or strip him of dignity just because he's struggling, something in him locks in. He thinks, she still sees me, even here. See, there's a delicate balance that only the rarest women know how to walk. You don't baby him, but you don't belittle him either. You hold him accountable, yes, but with compassion. You give him room to break, but not permission to stay broken. You mirror back his strength without punishment. That's not softness, that's emotional mastery. You let him face his reflection, not with shame, but with space. And in that space, he remembers who he is. Not because you told him, but because you never stopped believing it. That kind of woman, unforgettable, because most of the world only loves the man when he's winning, but the one who becomes the one, she sees his value even when he's on the mat. Stay with me, because next, we're entering the part of the connection where things shift, where attraction deepens, not because of chemistry, but because of clarity. When he stops needing to perform and starts wanting to grow. Let's go. Number 5, when he feels seen, not just desired. Attraction gets his attention. Understanding gets his soul. There's a reason some women are unforgettable, and it's not just their looks, their charm, or the way they laugh at his jokes. It's something deeper, something quieter. It's the way they see him, not just as the guy with potential, not just the man with broad shoulders and ambition, but as a full, layered human being with stories, struggles, and silent battles no one else bothers to ask about. And my friends, here's the secret. Desire might excite a man, but being understood, that grounds him, that awakens him, that changes him. When you notice what most overlook, his effort on the days he's tired, the hesitation in his voice before he speaks, the tension behind his smile, that's when he realizes you're not just looking at the version of him he projects, you're looking through it. You speak to the man, not the mask. You compliment his clarity, not just his confidence. And you say, I saw the way you handled that, or I could tell you had a lot on your mind today. And in those simple words, he feels something he hasn't felt in a long time, seen. Because everyone wants a piece of the man who looks like he's got it together, but very few are paying attention when he doesn't. And the woman who does? She doesn't just attract him, she inspires him. He starts showing up better, not to impress you, but because something in your presence reflects his higher self. You don't worship him, you see him. And because of that, he starts wanting to become the man you see. That shift from desire to devotion, from chemistry to clarity, isn't loud, but it's powerful. And it marks the beginning of something rare. And next, we step into the space where it all comes full circle, where he doesn't just feel excited to be around you, but relieved that he doesn't have to impress you anymore to stay close. Stay with me. Number 6, when he doesn't have to perform to keep you. He chooses the one who loves the backstage version of him, not the highlight reel. Let's talk about the version of him no one claps for, not the charming, polished, show-up-on-time version, not the look what I've built version, but the unshaven, tired, emotionally spent version, the one who forgets to be impressive, the one who doesn't have the energy to wear the mask, the one who wonders, can I just be and still be loved here? That's where it happens, my friends. That's where the real connection begins. Because here's the truth, a man can entertain dozens of women who love the spotlight version of him, the one who performs, the one who plans perfect dates and texts back with emojis. But the one he chooses, that's the woman who doesn't need a performance to stay close. She doesn't panic when things get quiet. She doesn't overanalyze every word, wondering, is he pulling away? She doesn't need a parade of proof to feel secure. Why? Because her sense of value isn't hanging on his consistency. It's rooted in her own. She's grounded, calm, whole. She doesn't chase moments. She anchors the connection. And that energy, that emotional self-containment, that's what turns the game into a relationship. When a man realizes you're not measuring your worth by how many texts he sends or how big the gestures are, he exhales deeply, because he doesn't feel trapped in a performance anymore. He feels free to show up as a man, not a puppet. And in that freedom, he begins to shift, not because he has to earn your love over and over, but because you've made it clear he's safe to be real here. That lack of neediness isn't weakness, it's magnetic. It creates space for him to lead, to connect, to rise, not out of obligation, but out of alignment. And next, we go into the most powerful part of all, when your presence becomes his peace, when in a chaotic world you become the place where he finally feels like he can breathe. Stay with me. Number 7, when your energy calms his chaos. In a world that constantly demands more of him, your presence tells him you're already enough. There's a kind of woman who doesn't add noise to a man's world. She quiets it. Not because she fixes his problems, not because she carries his load, but because her energy doesn't demand anything to prove it's worthy of love. And when a man finds that, he doesn't just want her, he needs her. Imagine this, he spent all day bracing himself. At work, he has to deliver. With friends, he has to act unfazed. In public, he has to perform like everything's good. And then he steps into your space, and for the first time all day, his shoulders drop. You didn't say much. You didn't offer a solution. But your presence, it told him something louder than words ever could. You don't have to perform here. You just have to be. You become his breath of air, not his new pressure point. You don't push him harder when he's already stretched thin. You don't ask him to be more when he's already questioning if he's enough. You meet him with calm, with grace, with stillness. And that stillness, that's rare. Because too many connections start with spark and end with stress. Games, power struggles, emotional tug of war. But when your energy feels like home, not because it's passive, but because it's peaceful, he stops associating you with pressure and starts associating you with presence. He doesn't come to you to escape life. He comes because life feels easier with you, clearer, less chaotic. You don't shrink him, you center him. And in that space, he begins to do something he's never done before. Build. Not just flirt, not just plan another date, but think long-term. Make room for you. Build routines around you, not because he's trying to win you, but because he's realized you're the only part of his life that doesn't require him to wear a mask. That's when the games stop. That's when the real relationship begins. And coming up next, we step into purpose, into mission, because a man at peace with a woman will not just share his heart, He'll invite her into his future. Let's keep going. Number 8, when you don't just support his purpose, you see it. The moment he realizes you're not a fan, you're a mirror to his calling, that's when he shifts. Every man with purpose carries a weight, a vision, a quiet fire he might not even have the words for yet. And most people around him, they either cheer him on from the sidelines or stay silent, afraid of getting too close to the pressure of what he's building. But when he meets a woman who doesn't just support his mission, but sees it, speaks to it, believes in it like it's already done, that's when something sacred happens. You're not just clapping when he wins, you're locked in when he doubts. You reflect back the man he's trying to become, not with pressure, not with push, but with presence, with patience, with powerful reminders of who he is, even when life tries to make him forget. That's the difference between being a fan and being a mirror. A fan sees what's already shining. A mirror shows him what's still inside, waiting to rise. You don't need to yell, "I believe in you," every day. It's in how you listen when he talks about his crazy ideas. It's in how your eyes don't flinch when he tells you the risks he's scared to take. It's in the way you say, "I can see us doing that together," like it's not some wild dream, but an inevitable reality. You don't need to lead the charge, but your belief, it leads him back to himself. And suddenly you're not just part of his heart, you're part of his blueprint. He starts mentioning you in future plans without thinking. He loops you into his decisions, not out of obligation, but because when he thinks about legacy, he sees you right there, not beside him, but with him. That kind of woman, she doesn't just date a man, she's integrated into his becoming. And here's where it all comes together, my friends. A man doesn't choose you in a moment of passion, he chooses you in a moment of peace. When he feels seen without performing, heard without fixing, loved without masks. That's when the shift happens, not in his words, but in how he moves around you. So if this spoke to something deep in you, do me a favor. Like this video, subscribe and share it with a woman who deserves this kind of clarity. And drop this in the comments. I am the woman he chooses in stillness. Let it land. You're already her.